Hi, second grade. Happy Friday. It's time to read a couple more chapters of Lulu before the weekend. So remember, we left off. She was stuck because Brutus had tied her around the tree. The dogs were not listening to her. It was not going well, right? Here she is. And then who comes along? Fleischman, of course, right? And what do we think? Do we think he's going to help her? Let's see. We're taking a time out. I think we ought to discuss what's going on here. I don't feel one bit sorry for Lulu. Do you? You remember I said back in chapter 1 that since she met Mr. B, Lulu wasn't as big a pain as she'd been, and not nearly as rude. But she sure was being extremely rude to Fleischman. Rude, and also ungrateful. For Fleischman helped her over and over and said he was happy to help and didn't even want money from her for helping. And all Lulu did was boss him around and threaten that she would throw up on him, plus she wouldn't be his friend or even his teammate. Maybe she needs to keep staying tied to that tree until she says, "I'm sorry, Fleischman." Wait, I think she just whispered, "I'm sorry, Fleischman." Chapter 20. Well, it turns out that Lulu didn't exactly say, "I'm sorry, Fleischman." What she actually said to him was, "Untie me, Fleischman," followed 10 or 20 seconds later by a growly sounding, "Please." Fleischman stopped tooting and stood right in front of the very grumpy, very tied-up Lulu. "Teammates untie each other," Fleischman told her, "but I'm not your teammate." "An assistant unties his boss," said Lulu, giving Fleischman one of her fiercer glares. "And Fleischman, you're my assistant, so untie me." "In case you didn't notice," said Fleischman, who wasn't one bit bothered by Lulu's glare, "I'm not your assistant anymore. I quit last Friday." "A person can't quit on Friday," said Lulu, "just by not coming back to work on Monday. A person has to say, 'I quit,' to quit." "Okay then," Fleischman said to Lulu, "I quit." And then he walked slowly past her, playing some more of "You Are My Sunshine" on his flute. With Lulu loudly yelling, "You get back here, Fleischman! You get back here now!" She is angry. Time out. I think that I need to mention that by this time, Lulu and Fleischman were quite late for school. But although, for several hours, they weren't where they should have been, not one single person noticed they weren't there. Not Lulu's teacher, not Fleischman's teacher, not any of their classmates, no one. Plus, nobody walking down that street, and lots of people were, seemed to notice that Lulu was tied to a tree. And not just tied to a tree, but wriggling and yelling and making quite a remarkable fuss. In actual life, this almost never could happen. In the stories I write, things like this happen a lot. Deal with it. Oh, and I think I should mention that by this time, Pookie had fallen sound asleep, let go of Lulu's jacket, and dropped to the grass, where she curled in a tight white fuzzball and yawned a great big yawn and kept on sleeping. And that Cordelia, bored with hiding under the junk pile, with nobody trying to find her, it wasn't much fun, waddled over to Pookie, flopped down right beside her, and soon was snoring very loudly in German. And that Brutus, his heavy head dropping lower and lower, was just as deep asleep as the rest of them. Except for Lulu, of course, who was wide awake and still screaming, "Get back here, Fleischman, now!" Chapter 21. Fleischman got back there. "Okay, I'll untie you," Fleischman said to Lulu, "but only if you'll explain how come you hate me." "Oh, I can do that," said Lulu. "That'll be easy." And then she gave him 10 different explanations. "You're always eating carrots. You never eat anything that's bad for you. Your sneakers look like they just came out of a store. You play an actual flute instead of a toy one. You wear that ugly t-shirt that says," I didn't mention this earlier because that t-shirt makes me want to throw up, "I'm here to bring some happiness into your life." That's what his t-shirt says. "You have this really, really annoying smile. You keep saying things like you can speak German and French. You keep saying things like, 'I'm honored and thrilled to serve you.' You got a day off from school because you're so smart. You're a total expert on dogs, and you don't even have a dog. All the moms and the dads in the world think you're perfect, and maybe you are, and how can a person not hate a person who's perfect? Okay, so I made a mistake. Lulu gave him 11 explanations. But forget about that. Right now, I'm anxious to hear what Fleischman will say. Aren't you? But we'll have to wait until next week to know what he says back. What do you think? He's been pretty nice this whole time. Is he gonna say, oh, thank you, Lulu, that's okay? What do you think might happen? Think about it over the weekend. But have a lovely rest of your Friday and a great rest of your weekend. And I will see you all and talk to you all on Google Classroom on Monday. Bye, second grade.